Welcome in. I'm your host, Danielle Alvari, and this is Bet the W, where we bet on the WNBA, bet on women, and just look for W's all around. Yes, this will be a podcast, but while that's in the works, we're going to live right here on video on the VSiN YouTube for just the first 2 weeks or so. Working on getting the podcast channel up and running. Excited for that. It's coming, but the season is starting. We didn't want to miss that. And if you haven't had a chance to yet, please go follow us on Twitter at BetTheWShow. Today, we'll break down all 4 of the Friday season opener games and even look ahead to our expectations for the weekend games. Also, as you may or may not know, the lines in this market do tend to swing quite a bit. So we'll do our best to give the numbers that we would play up to or down to based on how we expect the market to move and also the numbers we'll actually be playing. The start of the season, we'll be learning a lot about all these teams, so we hope you're here to learn with us and from us. Today we have Dano Mataya on, incredible handicapper, and also another one, Calvin Wetzel. And as always, to keep up with live bets, you can follow us on Twitter. Let's welcome in Dano Mataya, great friend to the show. He works with Her Hoop Stats and gives out bets on Spread the Floor, so definitely check those accounts out as well. Dano, we have the first games of the season in the 2023 WNBA season. It is here, and we were talking before we started, and this is a particularly interesting year with all the changes that went on to so many of the rosters. I think we're in for a bumpy ride at the start here. What did you think of these opening lines?
I think they're pretty sharp. I think it was going to be a popular contrarian play to play the Mystics, and they opened up as 3.5-point favorites, and we've seen that swing all the way to the other side where Liberty are 3.5-point favorites. I think just like the lines makers have a lot to learn throughout the year, so do we with all these new adjustments and teams that are out there now. So I probably will start off pretty small unit wise and gradually build up until I feel super confident. Also, the fact that these lines are moving within 5 minutes is not great.
Yes,
feels bad for this type of market as I'm trying to delay in placing bets and giving recommendations until the day of. But if people are gonna overnight WNBA, they're gonna overnight WNBA.
Right. So we're recording on Thursday evening-ish. So these lines are going to move. And to your point, already seen a lot of movement with this New York Liberty and Mystics line where the Mystics were favored. And now they're getting 3 points at home, at least 3 at one of the books. Total sitting at 164.5. I'm seeing a 163 as well. I lean under immediately on this game, and I also want to take the points with the Mystics. It's not an enticing number, and I think I might get an opportunity live better. We know that this New York team can absolutely score, so maybe there's a run, and we can grab something better on the Mystics. But I like the Mystics in this spot at home getting 3.
I do too, and I could see them winning outright by 8. It's I'm interested to see to hear why you do like the under. Just based on what I've seen in preseason and hearing from words with Eric T-Bolt, I know that the Mystics do want to play faster.
Yes.
Is it an edge on their defense or what?
That, and also I think that this line might be inflated just based on what we're expecting from these two teams. So it's me basically trying to get too cute with it, which is probably going to backfire on me. But it's almost looks like a booby trap, right? This 164.5, I thought that's high for a Mystics game, even if they want to play faster. What if they go down at some point? What are they going to do to get back on track? Lock down defense, slow down the pace, what they did last year to be successful, I would hope. So even if they want to move their offense a little bit quicker, I would hope that they're going to rely on that defense, which is what got them through so many games last year. True. And also, former head coach, who's now the GM, right, talked about how their defense hasn't gotten any worse in the last year. If anything, it's just given them more time to get better. So that combined with the fact that we were talking about this, the big 3 on the Liberty haven't really spent a lot of time playing together yet. Even in the preseason game just last week, Courtney Vandersloot was not playing. So maybe it takes them a second to sort of get in a rhythm. But I do think they're going to do some exciting things that will be very flashy and fun. I'm expecting some big 3s from Sabrina. But I'm going to err on the side of under because this is high for a Mystics total. And maybe they'll prove me wrong. Maybe they're going to push the pace. Just like last year, we talked about how the Connecticut Sun were looking to do that. What it did for them was just lead to a lot more turnovers, it seemed like. But they did get their pace up.
I definitely align with everything you just said. And if anything, their defense got better. I think Brittany Sykes is going to come in and just
steal every ball.
Cause hell for Sabrina or Courtney, whoever has the ball. Oh gosh, it's strange to me that that there's already so much punctuation with Mystics being at home, but hard to avoid it. I'm gonna end up on the Mystics for sure. It's just a matter of when.
And I would take the 3,
Mhm.
but to your point, do you think this is going to keep moving towards New York? I think so, and you could probably get an even better on the Mystics
Oh yeah,
before tip-off.
you're totally right. I think the public loves the Liberty,
It's
and they're
exciting.
right to be. I mean, we have so much excitement here with all these new players, but I mean, we also forget. I mean, you brought it up the other week. Landed Eldon fully healthy. Like she may be,
Watch out.
yeah. Like it's a reason we got some futures on our MVPs, right? So, yeah, I'm riding with the
Mystics
Mystics.
last year with EDD 18-7.
Love it.
Just come on.
Dogs at home.
Yeah.
Dogs at home. I like it. I like it.
I'm gonna go again. I lean under here. It's not what I'm gonna be necessarily looking to play. I'll probably sprinkle something on it because I want to just be like, oh, I knew it when it inevitably goes wrong. But the Mystics +3 I would play, but I'm not going to. I'm going to wait and see if the number moves up even further because I think it will.
Yeah, and I think I might do a first half money line. Like if we get those, I assume we will.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like playing at home, Mystic's going to come out ready. Usually
Hmm.
these opening night games, you feel like they have a good script. They've known who's going to be on the schedule for a while.
Yeah.
And I think they're comfortable with their identity. You have a great leader and point guard Natasha Cloud, so I think they'll get off to a good start either way.
The next game we look at here, the Connecticut Sun at the Fever, I believe. Let's look at these in
Ooh.
order.
I think it opened at 9.
Yeah.
Now it's
Opened at
down
9,
to
7.5.
7.5. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, is 7.5 as a road favorite, even against the lowly Fever, which I know you are high on the Fever, is 7.5 too much, especially on the road? And you're telling me this opened at 9?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. So, I mean, I've been on the wrong side of Fever
Many a Fever
Sun
bet.
games.
They were
The
not
Fever,
good ATS last
yeah, Fever Sun games specifically. But
year.
I think some of the quotes I'm hearing from Coach White up in Connecticut, and then that with the combination of the Fever's defense and the way they're getting out and running, I think I love this over. It's at
Do you mean the
159
lack
right
of
now.
defense? I was going to say,
Yes,
yeah, their
yes,
lack
yes,
of defense
yes.
is
Well,
why
their
I
defense
landed
is
the
just
same
not that
spot.
talented.
Yeah. Either way, their defense in general gives us pause. And I'm glad you said that because we just mentioned it. Last year, the Connecticut Sun made it a point to play faster. And I don't remember if it was you or Calvin who pointed this out, but when AT was in with Jonquel Jones, it was almost like she was all gas and there was a little bit of breaks on the rest of the offense. So now with Jonquel out of there, I think that Alyssa Thomas is going to speed things up just like we saw last year. I think it's going to work out in the Suns' favor. I'm not excited to lay 7.5 with the road team, but I do love this over 158.5. I think we can absolutely get there. To your point, Indiana's lack of defense and hopefully an improvement on the offensive side.
Yeah, and also it's tough because we have so many new coaches too. That's the other thing I completely forgot about. Like both of these are new coaches. We got
Yep.
Kurt in LA. I mean, like, so we may not get to know the real identity of these teams early on,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, we'll learn that. But I mean, we did make a killing betting the Fever live going into the fourth quarter. It was
Oh, yeah.
an absolute. I mean, obviously, when a team is down or up a lot, they're going to rest their starters. And the Fever have so many young players that are part of their core that are going to keep
And they don't
getting more
quit.
experience. No,
Yeah.
um,
That was
I
the
had worried.
thing I noticed about this team last year is when they were down, they did not care. They kept playing
Yeah,
through the whistle. So there's teams that give up. They were not one of them.
yeah. I'm worried about the Leah Boston matchup. That's a tough ass to go up against Brianna Jones, your first real WNBA game.
Welcome to the
So
league.
yeah, God, we got some fireworks out there. I'm pumped. I'm pumped for this game. I'm sad that it's at the exact same time as a Liberty game, but yeah, over.
The only thing
I'm
that
with
works against our over is if the Indiana offense is
it. Oh yeah,
dead last in offensive rating like it was last year. If there's
yeah,
not an improvement. But I will say they were second in pace last year. So
yeah,
they were fast. They weren't always efficient and making a lot of buckets, but they moved the game quickly. And I think the Connecticut Sun will be looking to do the same thing. The Sun have been really good at doing a similar thing of slowing things down on the defensive side, but they didn't do it as much last year. So I think those are the only things working against our over. I think this is my best bet that we're going
yeah.
to give out. over 158.5.
Yeah,
What would you play this up to?
I think 162.
Yeah.
I feel also we're going to see like just an incredible bump in the play of Nilissa Smith this year. Like I'm talking
And
30
she's
point
electric on
games.
offense.
Yeah, and she's that perfect tweener that can actually handle the ball a little bit and create some stuff. And she's got strength to go up against people like DeWanna Bonner. It'll be interesting to see who AT guards. And then, of course, like Kelsey Mitchell. We just need her to just throw in 43s, this season. That's
Just
what I'm.
casual.
I think her prize picks prop for the season was like 2.2 per game, and she hasn't really been fully healthy and has been asked to do so much. So it's going to be really, really cool seeing her be able to play off the ball a little bit, not have to be dependent on as much, and probably get some better quality shots.
Yeah, I completely agree. And there's another game going on at the exact same time, which I don't think will maybe, I can't tell which one of these will hold my attention more, but we have the Chicago Sky also at 7 p.m. Eastern time at the Minnesota Lynx, who have been largely touted as rebuilding, and the Sky have been pretty vocal about trying to say that they're not rebuilding, but Kalia Copper is the only returning starter. She was the team's leading scorer at least, but she's just one person here. Marina Mabry also added to this roster, so a little bit of scoring for Chicago, but they're still getting 3.5 points on the road here with a total of 163.5. Again, look around because a lot of these lines will be different and be shaking out. I don't like either side here with this number, but I do like the under 163.5. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I loved it. I saw it open at 168.5. So,
168. Oh man,
yeah,
we missed the best of it.
I know. I mean, I was like, I want to launch, but I can't do it. And then I wanted to launch at 165.5, and I'm like, I'm waiting. I'm going to be a good person. But I still love it. I played down to 159. I think both these teams are going to be elite from mid range, which is so funny to like think about. What Ariel Powers is great at the mid range shot. Caleb McBride. Kalia Copper, she may extend out and shoot some threes, but so many mid-range shooters. Courtney Williams. Izzy Harrison's going to be out for this game, so
yep.
I think down low we got Elizabeth Williams, but there's no post. It makes me miss Sylvia Fowles. She would eat this game.
Yeah.
No
miss
one,
you, Sylvia.
Yeah, no one to really expose that lack of post depth that Chicago has. So we could see a lot of layups. But at the same time, I just think both these teams want to take jump shots. Both are solid defensively. Yeah, I don't know. I think Cheryl Reeve keeps the effort on the defensive end going and should go under.
Yeah, I agree with all these. I like this one. I would put this in second place in terms of my bets I like, and obviously that first one being that over 158.5 for the Sun and Fever game. Both of these totals so far. But we do have one last game to look at, the late game in the evening, the Mercury at the Sparks. The Mercury getting 2.5, even a 2 in some spots, and the total 159 or even a 159.5. They did just play on Friday, May 12th in a preseason game in Phoenix. The Sparks won 90-71. Now we're back in LA. The Sparks have missed playoff 2 years in a row, but they have Kurt Miller now from the Sun as their head coach. 5 former All-Stars, Jasmine Thomas now, Lashia Clarendon, Derica Hamby, Shanae, and Nneka Ogwumike. I like the Sparks in this spot. Sparks -2. We talked about this. I wish they weren't favored, but I think they can cover that.
Yeah, gotta cheer on your hometown Sparks, like gotta be repping.
Probably one of the worst home court advantages in the league, though.
Wait, where do they play?
They play they play at Crypto.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's what Lakers are playing at home on Saturday. Wow, big weekend for LA.
Yeah.
I think Kurt is too good to not win this game. The only thing that concerns me is the lack of shooting that the Sparks have. But at the same time, you look across the way. I mean, I know Sophie Cunningham's banged up. Outside of Diana Taurasi, I don't trust.
Who might be rested.
Yeah. I mean, Diana will still probably put up 18 shots on Friday, and I wouldn't be surprised. But the Sparks' identity is definitely going to be in their defense this year. Just with any
Mm.
Kurt Miller team, we've seen how efficient every team that he's coached has been. I think he's going to get a lot out of NECA. So, whew, I'm with it. I think, like we both said, wish they were dogs, but I trust Kurt getting his first win in his first appearance in LA. Love that angle too.
Do you think this would be better to be bet live and get a better number on the Sparks? Because I don't know that we'll get that opportunity, which is why I wanted to lay the 2 with them.
Mm. We might. I mean, I could see Brittany Griner like coming out real strong. I
Mm-hmm.
think that they're going to be definitely making it a point to get her the ball early.
Mm-hmm.
But you got some tall, strong bigs in LA, so it's not an easy first matchup for her to get back into the swing of things. Even though they just faced off in the preseason, which really you can't judge too much off of. But
Right.
I'm fine with laying 2. But if an opportunity presents itself either way, I think I'd take Phoenix up. Like say LA goes on a big run, Phoenix up to 8.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could see Kurt just winning Coach of the Year this year and like
Yeah.
resurgence in LA. It's very plausible. I
Yeah.
hope it doesn't happen for my future bets, but he scares me. He's a great
Yeah.
coach.
I know. We're scared of Kurt. He's been with the Sparks in the past too as an assistant, so I'm sure he's happy to be back. Last thoughts on the weekend games that are coming up. Dream at Wings early on Saturday. That's 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And Aces at Storm, 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Which one are you excited for? I already know.
Oh,
Dream at
yeah,
Wings.
yeah. I I want no part of a game that Becky Hammon isn't coaching. I'm just kidding. Anyways, I love the Dream this year. They smacked Dallas in Dallas last year to open the
Yeah.
season. I think they're gonna do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think their pace is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
This game should be in the 170s. So if it opens at
Wow.
anything
South of
160,
that. Yeah.
yeah, 169 or less, I think I'm taking the over. I just gotta hope that Dallas can get there, and they have the bigs to just get rebounds and putbacks. I'm expecting a big season from Tierra McCowan. I think she
Me too. On my fantasy
so good.
team.
Oh, jelly.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, her and Tina
What about
Charles, right?
Sunday? Sunday we. Oh
Just
yeah.
kidding.
Well, let's not talk about it.
Yeah,
Let's not
let's
tell the
not.
people.
No, it
Uh,
might be
s-
a good stash.
let's reveal it later. Sunday, Mystics at Sun, Fever at Liberty, and Sky at Mercury.
Ooh, can we?
Mystics at Sun is early.
Yeah. I mean, I forget I'm actually going to be going to this Liberty game.
Oh, nice.
But
On Sunday. Season
yeah,
ticket
so
holder.
I like, yeah, have to support women's sports. But you're going to be taking the tickets when I'm in
I am
Paris.
taking
So
him next Saturday.
yeah,
I'm excited. I'll be in New York. I'm excited to see a game. But
yeah,
Mystics at Sun on Sunday should be interesting. Honestly, Fever at Liberty might be an interesting matchup. Might be. Because
yeah.
I wonder what the line will be for that. Double digits for the Fever?
Oh, for sure. On the road in New York, opening night or opening day to
Forget
see
it.
see the big three. Yeah, I mean, like this is going to be. I think the highest we saw last year was like 15 on a Fever game. I think we
Uh,
might be approaching that.
yeah.
So it's, I don't know. I think this is a game I'd like to take a first half bet on. Um, Probably an over, just
Hmm.
with the way the Fever play defense. Um,
They
my
don't play
hope
the defense,
is,
just to be clear.
yes, the way they play defense is by not playing defense. My hope is that the Liberty, I think they're gonna lose in Washington D.C. Come back ready, focused, and it's going to be a bloodbath for the Fever. Fever have a tough
I
two games
agree.
to start the season.
It sounds
But
like you
like,
saw the script, is what it sounds
right?
like.
I know. Texted Kathy. It's like feed me. But I mean, laying 15, 16 points with all the stuff that happens in fourth
Uh-huh.
quarters, uh, it's not something I feel great about, especially with a Fever team. So
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Uh,
Especially a feisty little Fever team. Exciting weekend, though, to kick things off. Very
yeah.
excited and very excited for the season. Excited for the Bet the W podcast. So, Dano, very happy to have you on and looking forward to have you on more regularly, of course. And any best bets? What'd you finally land on here for these? Because I think, again, my favorite is that over 158.5 for the Sun and Fever game. But I also like the under on the Sky and Lynx game. And it's at 163.5 now. I think you could play that to 161, 160.
Yeah, I'm with you on that over in the Sun Fever game. Definitely, I think totals where I'm going to be leaning a lot.
To figure
That
these teams out.
that Mystics first half money line. Let's have some fun. Let's learn a lot in this first
Yeah.
weekend. It's
Bear
so
with
good.
us.
It feels like Christmas Eve.
Yeah. We're going to see what we get. Thank you so much, Dana, and we'll look forward to having you on next week as well.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Now we welcome in Calvin Wetzel. You may remember him from the inaugural show where we talked about all 12 teams. And Calvin is that friend who will just refresh until the odds pop up and tell you when they're up. So this is the friend you want if you're going to be betting WNBA. Are you excited for the start of the season, Calvin?
Oh my gosh, it's I'm with Dano. This is Christmas. It's like one of a few Christmases every year. Like when college season starts, when WNBA season starts, these are the best times on the sports calendar.
Yes, we're back. And we're starting it off with a bang here with the first game. New York Liberty, with all their trades, all of their super teamness, at the Washington Mystics. So number 2 in the championship odds versus number 3. And this was interesting as you mentioned, you pointed this out to me. The New York Liberty opened as getting 3.5 plus 3.5. And as we're recording Thursday evening, has already swung to Liberty minus 2.5. I see a 3 already too. Liberty minus 3. I like the Mystics plus 3, and I think this line's going to keep moving that way. And I think I know what side you're on. Or I had a little preview, I think Dano told me. But tell the people, what do you like in this game?
Yeah, well, I did hit that Liberty plus 3.5 when it opened, but I'm with you. I think it moved a little bit too far. I do like the Mystics plus 3 as maybe not quite as much as I like that first one. I hit that side already a little bit less. We're going to try to go for that middle.
You have a middle?
There, I do. We're going to go for a one
So
possession
3
game.
either direction, basically?
Yeah, basically, if this is a one possession game, which I think it will be down to the wire, we're looking to cash both of those. But
if you're new to betting, by the way, do not pull what Calvin just pulled. You're not ready for middling yet. Just to be clear.
Yeah, definitely don't try it if you need a lot of points. Like, so I see some people try it with like 2 or 3 points. No, you need 6, 7, 8 points to even make that remotely
this is an
worth
expert
it.
maneuver. Which,
we'll
to
see
your
if it
point,
pays out.
you like your Liberty side better. But do you think that the Mystics can win this game straight up?
Yeah, I absolutely do. You know, like months ago when the schedule came out, I looked at this, and do you remember like when the Heat formed the Big Three on the NBA side? And everyone thought, you know, oh, they're going 82-0 or whatever. They thought they're going to win 10 championships. They lost the first game right away, overhyped, right? And I looked at the schedule, and going on the road at the Mystics is the hardest possible game that you can play in this league other than playing the Aces or Liberty, right? So right away, this Liberty team hasn't practiced together very much. Going to take some time to gel. The Mystics are on the opposite side. The Mystics have been talking about how they belong in that top tier, and they get a chance to prove it at home right off the bat. So at that point, I was thinking, you know what? I'm going to bet the Mystics because obviously they're going to be underdogs. And if they are, I think I'm going to bet them on opening night. Turns out they were not underdogs when it was posted. So I was like, okay, wait a minute. We have to hit the other side. But now they are underdogs. So if you're going to play this line at 2.5 or 3, I would go with the Mystics. I think it should be closer to a pick 'em personally.
Yeah, I agree. I like Mystics plus 3. I think people are very high. Dano talked about this, public very high on the Liberty. So we could see this continue to move up until tip off. But home dog, give me the Mystics. Elena Deladon full strength. Come on. So that moves us on to the next game here. The Connecticut Sun at the Indiana Fever. This was my favorite bet I gave out with Dano. Over 158.5. We've already seen this line move up since I recorded that with Dano, not but a few moments ago. So that's what we're talking about with these line moves. Especially crazy because they went up so close to the game starting, obviously. Is 7.5 as a road favorite too much for the Connecticut Sun here?
You know, this is another one. The spread has moved as well. It opened at 9.5, and
yeah,
I was probably going to stay away there. I'm starting to think about hitting the Sun at this point. If it gets down to, I think I saw a 7 even somewhere. If it got down to
Yeah, I was
six and
gonna
a
say
half,
6.5. I would play.
I would probably have to pull the trigger on 6.5. I agree with you. And I
Yeah.
love that overplay as well, by the way. Even where it is now, I think you can still get 159.5 some places,
What would you play it up to? I
160.
think Dano and I said 162 or so.
That's about where I would take it. Yeah, I'd probably
Yeah.
stop at about 162. I think this one hits mid 160s. So if you can get lower 160s, I would still take it.
Yeah. And again, Fever second in pace last year. And I think it was you. I mentioned this to Dan. I couldn't remember which one of you pointed it out, but I think it was you who pointed out that AT sped things up for the Sun last year. And it was almost like Jonquil a little bit slowed them down. So I think this is going to be all gas, no brakes.
Yeah, well, and both these teams have new coaches, and both of these
Mm-hmm.
coaches have said that they want to play fast. Now, like every coach says that, obviously, because it sounds good. So we'll see if they
Yeah.
carry it out. The Sun in their last preseason game were crazy fast, over 90 possessions, which like league average is like 80. So at least they
Yeah.
backed it up in that game. We'll see. Christy Sides for the Fever said that she wants to have the fastest pace in the WNBA.
They
Stephanie
were
White
second last
for
year.
the Sun, yeah, they were already close. And then Steph White for the Sun said she wants to kind of model her offense after the Aces, who obviously play really fast paced. So I'm gonna bet on these coaches, kind of living up to their word that they promised us, playing fast and take this over.
Yeah. Which brings us to our next game that's at the same time. And I like the under. I think I will be playing this under 163.5 on the Chicago Sky at the Lynx. The Sky getting 3.5 points. Again, two teams that we would assume are in rebuild mode, but the Sky have come out and said that they're not. The Lynx more so. But out of the starters from last year, only Clea Copper back for the Sky.
Yeah, I think the Sky are going to be in rebuild mode. I'm sorry, but
Whether they like it or not.
whether they like
Yeah.
it or not, we'll see. They lost Izzy Harrison for quite a while, so that's a big blow to them as a
Mm-hmm.
team. But also, that's another reason to help the under. Obviously, Izzy was going to be good for that offense, and they needed someone
Mm-hmm.
who could score in the post like that. Their
Mm-hmm.
only really other true post at this point is Elizabeth Williams, who's much more defensive. So I'm with you on the under. This is another one that moved like crazy. It started at 168.5. I would still take it. I would take it at anything in the 160s. Personally, I
Okay.
think this game stays in the 150s, just like the preseason game did. Obviously, regular season's different, but we saw these two teams play a week ago, and it was in the 150s, and I think the regular season game is there as well.
Right. I think offense will be hard to come by, and I think this Lynx defense will be solid. So I think we see under 163.5 here. So we have an over we like, we have an under we like, and that brings us to the Phoenix Mercury at the Los Angeles Sparks. I'm still toying with if I'm going to try to go to this game or not. I'll have to see if we can fit it into the schedule. It seems important to be at the tip-off game, but they did play last Friday. Sparks won 90-71. That was in Phoenix. Now we're back in LA. I told Dano I like the Sparks laying 2 here. What do you think?
This is the toughest game for me to read, and I'm probably not going to bet it until we hear about Sophie Cunningham because she's questionable, starting 3 for the Mercury. That being said, if I had to pick a side right now, I would probably lean Mercury, and I would probably lean under, just because Kurt Miller has been an unders coach for quite a while, and now he's coaching the
Mm.
Sparks. But again, Sophie Cunningham is definitely going to help the over if she's on the court. She's questionable. She's day to day with a knee injury. So if she plays, I would probably either see what the market does, see if the line moves, or at least wait to take that under. So this one's tough to read. Both of these teams have changed quite a bit. The Mercury, like their roster hasn't necessarily changed, but because they were missing so much of their roster for much of last season, including Brittany Griner, on the court is going to look a lot different.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm glad you pointed out that just there's head coaches who tend to go on the slower or the underside of things. And Kurt Miller is one of them. I wrote down that I leaned over in this game, but I think that was just me getting scared by that preseason game and seeing the pace they were playing at. And I think the Sparks coming out and probably trying to prove that, hey, we've missed playoffs 2 years in a row. Not that same team, here to make a statement. And the Mercury just a little bit thinner, to your point, with maybe possible Sophie Cunningham or not. I do think she makes a big deal to this game because she is a sharpshooter for them. But I lean Sparks here too. I wouldn't play this higher than 2 on the Sparks. I'll say that.
No, I wouldn't either. And we'll see if the line moves at all. If Sophie Cunningham's probably not going to move it more than a point or so. But this is, yeah, I may end up just not betting this game because I think this is
This is the one to avoid.
this is
Just
if
watch and
if
enjoy.
you're gonna avoid one, yeah, let's kind of see how these teams shake out.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I said that at the start of the pod. This is going to be a lot of learning at the start of the season, what these teams look like.
Yeah, we're learning. The sports books are learning. Everybody's
We're trying to learn
shaking
faster
off
than
the
them.
rust. Yep, that's the goal.
We have weekend games too. Any that jump out to you that are exciting? Saturday, Dream at Wings, Aces at Storm. Sunday, we have Mystics at the Sun, Fever at Liberty, and Sky at Mercury.
Yeah, Mystic Sun is standing out to me. Number one, I think these are the two best teams aside from the super teams. I think you're talking about
Right.
number three and number four. And number two, we talked about Steph White wanting to revamp that offense and play up tempo for Connecticut, but Eric Tebow, the new coach who, new in air quotes for the Mystics, has also been talking about wanting to push the pace more. And that was a great unders team last year, but they were pushing the pace in the preseason. He's said he wants to push the pace with his team. So both of these teams may be good overs teams early on. So depending on what the line is, I'm definitely going to be looking to take an over for that game on Sunday.
Yeah, and to your point, I did lean under on the Liberty Mystics game. Dano asked me why, because of course he thinks that's insane. But I did think that perhaps the Mystics' signature defense would show up and that this line was maybe a touch too inflated for what we're expecting out of this incredible offense that will be eventually, but maybe not right out of the gate from the Liberty.
Those are good points. Like, as much as the Mystics are going to be up tempo, they are still better on the defensive side of the ball and offense. And yeah, the Liberty are going to take some time to gel. So we're not going to see necessarily the.
I can already see our tweets tomorrow,
offense.
all of us being like, never mind, they're gelling. They're gelling already.
You know what? I would love it because we'll cash plus 3.5, but we'll see.
Yes. That's advanced, but stick with us this season. We'll get you up to Calvin's level, hopefully, and keep you informed with actionable information. Calvin, since you're the last guest, I wanted to add something to the pod called Win of the Week. Keep the W's up. So what's your win of the week? It can be personal. It can be a bet. I know that Dano's also been betting the NBA playoffs alongside me. It can be a bet or it can just be a personal win. I'll go first so you can think about yours. My win of the week is starting this podcast. I'm very excited. This was something in the works for a while, and now it's coming to fruition. So that's my win of the week. What's your win of the week? Keep it positive on here.
Wow. Well, is it a cop-out to say being on the podcast with you, not just today, but the other day?
Oh, that's nice.
That's
what we're trying to facilitate
first episode
here.
a couple days ago. It was exciting.
Yeah. That's a great win. It's a win of the week. And I think that as humans, we don't focus enough on the positives and our wins in life, which is the opposite of what happens in betting. People love to focus on their wins and never talk about their losses. But we'll try to be very transparent with you this year. There's nothing to hide. Obviously, we want to provide you the best information possible. So stick with us and make sure you go follow the Bet the W show on Twitter. Thank you so much, Calvin.
Thanks for having me.